Hello! These are the things that I've been working on for some time. In fact, I'm partly making this video just to try and put a line under these. I don't know why, but they've taken a long time, a lot of adjustment, a lot of sort of looking at them and doing nothing and thinking, what am I going to do next to them? I'll show you some other things that I have been doing in the meantime, but I think I started these before Christmas, for goodness sake. I am getting slower and slower. I don't really need, as I've said before, to, do, certainly in 28 millimeter, many more figures, any more figures really, except that I need a few more Picts. 4 of these are Picts, the warriors at the back. But so I suppose that is part of it, that I just enjoy the painting for its own sake, and I can take my time and just decide what I want to do and how far I want to take them each time as I go through. But it does get to be a bit crazy after a while, so I thought I'd stop here and take a look at them. So it's 4 footsore Dark Age Picts. And 1 Dark Age warrior, kind of war leader. I might put him on a bigger base yet. The guy in the middle there with the cloak, this sword down on the hilt, with his hand resting on the hilt. Actually, I think he's an Irish warlord, but I think he's pretty generic. Most Dark Age figures are really interchangeable, I guess, to some extent. He's got some quite specific things. He's got a quite Irish style brooch, and he's a lovely figure. I'll only say that of him and the Guinevere on to the right as you look at them, they've both got a little touch of something that occasionally happens in foot, so I wouldn't be too critical of it, except in 1 or 2 other places. That is a slight flatness across the figure. It's a little bit easily felt and read, this sort of flatness which comes out of a 2-part mould, essentially. There's an Arthur figure on horseback, which is all too apparent, actually. It's very flat. His shield is flat along in relation to the direction of the horse. And I've been looking at him, trying to think of how I can improve and push him into 3D dimensions a little bit more, which is often possible with these figures. It wasn't really necessary here, except that with the Irish warlord there at the front now in the middle, I turned his sword on the spot. It's a small thing, but just so that the sword was more or less at right angles to the body and the cloak of the figure, so that it just has this slight greater feeling of 3-dimensionality to it. It was quite easily done without twisting it off. I could have curved the cloak around a bit more. I think I did a wee bit, but I didn't want to mess it about that much. So anyway, so there's that issue. But otherwise, they're beautiful figures, as always, from footsore sculpts. And I enjoyed painting them, but I was just very slow. I have found some interesting new techniques for actually getting quality of hair. There's a slight sheen in the hair, a slight sort of almost greasy look in some of the hair on some of them. Gosh, the light is not great in here. I hope we are picking up some of this. I'll do a video, if I can remember to, on these techniques. Obviously you can use glaze, but there are other things you can do as well. I won't name where, but in a recent video I saw somebody was talking about doing their hair, picking up on the detail of it by dry brushing. Disaster. Just, I'm very, very parsimonious about using dry brushing anyway, except on things like basing and buildings, but on hair it's just the opposite. You don't want that dusty, dry look. You want something else. You want a sort of a kind of a convincing sheen, and so anyway, I'll try and do a video on that. I've been promising lots of different videos on techniques I've realised and haven't followed up on them, but I'll try and do that. So these are what I've been doing for the major part of this period, and then are they in shot? No, they're not. These are on the sticks, my painting sticks, for the immediate future. These Vikings from Footsore, and they're just a little bit of colour so far, and primed with a black wash, which is how I go about priming now, usually. Not always, but for these kind of figures it works well. And then laying in colour in quite thinly, and you can pick up on some of the shadows that are already there in that way, which is handy. And then lay more in and lay your highlights in, and I'm enjoying painting in that way. There's no one way to do this, of course. So those are the next thing on the horizon, as it were. And also, what I've been doing, there's some of these wattle fences. Now, this is I did a whole bunch of these straight ones. Let's try and get this in shot again. I did a whole load of straight ones, and this little, it's an isolation ring for, that on a farm you would use to isolate an animal, or a mother and its young, or something like that. And I just thought that would make a nice little kind of obstacle. The gate is openable. It needs two hands though. Yeah, you might even end up having a little fight inside it or something. I don't know. But anyway, I just fancied doing that. But the main thing was these straight ones. And there's a great video by Jerry. I think his Gurchin is his proper name on YouTube. Jerry, most people know, I'm sure, and terrific video on how to make these. I won't cover the same ground. It's very clear, very well covered. The only difference between mine, really, and his, that mine are made with milliput rather than with filler, polyfiller, I guess, what Jerry uses. I like the hardness of milliput. I like using it anyway, and if it breaks, if it cracks, you don't get those white bits, those horrible breaks in your paint colour, and it's unlikely to break anyway because it's really hard stuff. So there you go. Anyway, so Jerry's video, I think, is called Saga Terrain, I'll try and put a link down below, but I'm very hopeless at all that kind of business, as people will probably realise by now, because there's never an edit in what I do. So, leaving you with these. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe if you will. Sorry that these videos from me are not as frequent as they used to be. I'm going to try and improve that. Yeah, see you again.